board games is a truly beautiful thing. We bring people together against the odds to the table to have a great time with your friends and your family members, even in the hardest of times. But sometimes you just want to cozy up at home with a video game. Believe me, I get that. So I invite you, just this once, to try a solo board game instead. And who knows, it could be really fun. Under Falling Skies is a solo board game for 1-to-1 players that plays one and is a game that is made to play on your own. It's a Galaga-style dice game peppered with some truly tough decisions. It's the type of thing you can set up in a few seconds and play in 20 to 40 minutes. So, if I've piqued your interest, allow me to teach you how to play. To set up your first game, place all of these tiles on the table like so. Arrange them from darkest on the top to lightest on the bottom, and place the Mothership above them like so. If you want to challenge yourself, flip one of these tiles over at random. This setup is considered normal difficulty. However, today I will be showing you a beginner's game, so there's no need for this. Below these tiles, you will place the Roswell City tile, followed by these two base tiles. The top one should be marked with an A, and the bottom one should be marked with a B. There are 3 of these, and you won't need the one marked with the letter C for this game. Then, place the green research marker here, the yellow energy marker here, and the red damage marker here. Place your little excavator on its mark on the base tile, and collect the gray and white dice near the board. Finally, place all of the purple ships up here onto their spaces, and place these white ships nearby. All the rest of this stuff is not needed for your first game. Under Falling Skies is a legacy game, beginning with a simple beginner game, which you can play over and over again, with lots of variability, but a lot of secret content inside, which unlocks all sorts of new mechanics. I'll cover these in another video, if you guys are interested. Just let me know in the comments below. Your goal in the game is to get your research marker to the top of this track on the left, while defending your base from a relentless onslaught of attacking alien invaders. You roll dice, assign them to spaces, move ships strategically onto these explosion spaces, and activate these spaces to blow them sky high, all while assigning all of those extra dice you're gonna have to research victory and excavate new and more powerful action spaces. So, if you get the gist, let's teach you how to take a turn. You'll start by rolling all of these dice. Then, you will assign them one by one onto spaces on the board. After you've placed one die into each row, you will resolve the actions in whichever order you choose. The excavator represents a blockage of all the spaces below it. When placing a die onto an action space, you must place it onto a space above the excavator following this gray line, which represents tunnels. There is one exception. You can dig deeper into the cavern and reveal new and more powerful action spaces with more flexible options. To do this, you are allowed to place one die behind the excavator. And before you do this, you must first count the number of spaces from the excavator to that space and place a die there equal to or higher than that number of spaces. For example, to place a die here, you would need a die with a face value of 3 or higher, because this space is 3 spaces away from the excavator. Each column will get 1 die, so this means once you've placed a die into a column, you cannot place another die into that same column. That counts for every die on the board, including the one used to excavate. If you choose to place one of these 2 white dice on the board, you must re-roll any remaining unplaced dice immediately. Keep this in mind when placing your dice, because, as Adrian Monk would say,
it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah,
I love it. What?
He says that all the time.
He does?
every time you place a die, you will move any ships in that column a number of spaces towards you equal to the die's value. If there is more than one ship in that row, they move simultaneously. However, if you place a die into any of these spaces on the top row, it will have no effect later in the round, but you will move any ships in that column one space less than the value of the die instead. If a ship moves past this line, it is destroyed and you take 1 damage. Mark this by moving the damage marker 1 space down. Red ships destroyed this way are sent to this general space on the mothership. White ships destroyed this way are placed next to the board. After a ship has completed its move, it will activate the space it landed on, ignoring any spaces it passed through. If it lands on an aerospace, it will immediately move to the adjacent space of the next column in that direction. If they landed on an explosion, good job, probably. You'll see why soon. These spaces, as well as the empty ones, don't do anything right now. If it lands on a mothership space, you must move the mothership 1 space down. If it moves into a ship, it will gobble it up. Any ships of any color gobbled up like this are immediately placed into the general area of the mothership. If the mothership ever reaches this space, you'll immediately lose. So watch out for that. Ignore these symbols for now. When the mothership moves in this way, these do not activate. You can use this to your advantage if you want to skip a mothership action that you're not really fond of. We'll explain that in more detail soon. Once you've placed 1 die into each column, you will move on to the room phase. First, resolve the excavator die, if you placed one. Just remove the die and advance the excavator to the same space. Then remove any dice placed on empty tunnels or these spaces on the top. You can place dice here during the dice placement step, but they don't do anything during this phase. Now, for every other remaining die on the board, we must determine the value of the room. You can now activate each placed die, one at a time, in any order you wish. Each space has a color that corresponds to the action. Some also have a value modifier and an energy cost. The strength of each action depends on the room's value. You determine this by adding or subtracting the value of the room modifier to the value of any dice in that room. Some actions have multiple spaces, and the value of any dice placed into those rooms are added together when determining the room's value. Once the room's value is determined, you can activate the room's action by paying the energy cost and returning the die to your supply. The yellow spaces will add energy to your reserves equal to the room's value. Just move the yellow marker to indicate the energy you just gained. The red spaces will blow up any ships that are on spaces marked with a number equal to or lower than the room's value. Any and all red ships blown up this way are sent back to the mothership, while white ships are returned to the supply near the board. Finally, the green spaces allow you to complete your research and win the game. Move up 1 or more spaces. However, the sum of the numbers on these spaces must be less than or equal to the value of the room. For example, if you have a room value of 5 and your victory marker was here, you could move it up 2 spaces, because if you add those 2 spaces together, it's only 3. But you couldn't move it up to this 6th space, because if you add all 3 spaces together, it's 9, which is higher than 5, so you couldn't move it up that far. The remaining 2 points of value for the room are lost. Finally, once you've finished your turn, the mothership will take its turn. First, the mothership will move 1 space down on the board, gobbling up any ships in its path, as usual. Then, it will activate the space that it's now pointing to here. This alien symbol means that you must move your victory point marker 1 space down, regardless of how much value it is. This symbol means that you add the indicated number of white ships to the belly of the mothership. This means you must move your excavator the indicated number of spaces backwards, representing a cave-in. And this means you lose, like, immediately. After you've moved the mothership, you'll spawn ships into the spaces below. There are 2 things you should remember when doing this. Ships will always spawn into empty columns first, and you will always spawn the red ships before you spawn the white ones.
Choose a drop point that's furthest away from the highest ship in that column.
And continue in the same way. Once you've run out of ships to place or filled all 5 spaces on the mothership, you can begin a new round by rolling all 5 dice all over again. If too many ships crash into your base, you also lose. However, if you are able to push this research token all the way up this space before that happens, you immediately win the game and save humanity. And that's how you play Under Falling Skies. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. We would love to hear from you. What's your favorite game to play solo? I'll allow video games just this once. Comment your answer below, and if you have any questions or feedback, we'll be sure to reply as soon as we're able. Under Falling Skies is one of hundreds of great games you can pick up for up to 30% off at greatoakstavern.com/shop. Click the link in the description for more information, or just stop on by when you're in town to play this and over 600 other awesome games like it at Great Oaks Tavern.